Hey, what's up? Coach Ryan Fainley here from the Fat Loss Solution. Today I'm going to give you some practical principles that you can use to make progress no matter what your program is. The tips I'm going to give you today aren't necessarily exact specific program design variables to do, but more a flow of how you should look to incorporate change into your program. So, as you know, there are many ways to change your program for progress. You can make your program more intense by adding weight to the bar during lifting exercises, by adding speed to sprinting or interval exercises. You can add more volume by adding reps, adding sets. You can add more density by decreasing rest. These are all program design variables that you can do to make progress. In the kitchen, you can add calories, you can take calories away, you can adjust your macronutrient ratios, play around with your percentage of carbs, fats, and proteins, and those are all means to achieve your end goal. Now, where this all gets lost in translation is often how to implement it all at one time. There's so many variables, how do you do it? Well, today I'm going to give you some basic principles for how to do this, how to make progress. And this is regardless of if you're on a fat loss program, a muscle building program, whatever your goal may be. So first off, you have to have indicators to measure. If you're not measuring something, you're not tracking it, and you're not looking to improve it. So in the case of body fat, you need to be measuring your body fat percentage. Scale weight can be moderately useful. It doesn't tell the whole picture, but body fat percentage is your best tool. If your goal is increased strength, well, that's an obvious one. Can you lift more weight than you did when you started? And so you need to pick key exercises to target to improve your strength. If your goal is conditioning for a sport-specific event, you need to look at how your performance is in specific conditioning intervals. So, for example, if your sport requires a 5-second maximal burst with 35 seconds rest, and it repeats itself for 40 times over the course of a game, roughly like American football, then you should be able to do lots. You should be able to do 40 to 50, 5-second burst, 35-second rest, and be able to do that very well with high power outputs. Just to give you an example. So, step number one is have indicators to track. So write down what your indicators are, go measure your indicators, and have those ready. Step two, lay out a logical progression. So what do I mean by logical? I mean something that's not set somewhere in fantasy land about what you're trying to achieve. So all over the internet today is fantasy land stories about, oh, I lost 60 pounds in 4 weeks and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that stuff is doable and it happens sometimes, and hey, the sun shines on a dog's rear end every now and again, and even myself as a coach, I've gotten very, very lucky sometimes and had some athletes get some tremendous results that even I wasn't expecting. But that doesn't mean that's the rule. So progression, logically, not in fantasy land, is something that is realistic. So for fat loss, I like to aim for a ½ pound to a pound ½ pound to a pound per week of fat loss. Can you lose more than that if you do everything perfectly? Absolutely. Can you mess it up if you get too greedy? Absolutely. You'll lose muscle mass, slow your metabolism, etc. So a ½ pound to a pound is a good target to shoot for. So that's a logical progression. Map that out over the course of a series of weeks. Within the logical progression, you need to have a series of changes. And what I mean by changes is things that are plateau busters, or what you plan to implement when progress stalls. So you may have a set meal plan, let's say meal plan A, and you're going to run that meal plan until it ceases to work for you. So the first progress changing thing could be to cut 50 grams of carbs per day out of the meal plan. That's a simple, easy step. If someone stalls, that can usually get them started again. 50 grams of carbs a day, that's 200 calories a day. So over the course of a week, that's going to give you 1,400 calories less than your current meal plan per week. That's reasonable. So that could be a first progress step. Another progress step could be adding in an 8-minute sprint interval workout during the week. So you organize these as a series of steps, again, related to your initial goal, your indicator goal. So it's going to be different for strength, it's going to be different for fat loss, it's going to be different for muscle gain. And lay out a series of steps of what you're going to do when progress stalls. The next thing is to implement one change, just one. Okay, if you change all kinds of variables at once, you won't know what's working for you and you won't know what's not working for you. Plus, you don't want to use all your trump cards at once. So implement one change or change one variable and run it for a determined amount of time. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever you determine. Then at the end of that month, the next step is measure your indicators. So if you change one variable and you lost a ton of body fat, you know that that variable works well for you, and you know that that is a variable that you can powerfully manipulate to get results. On the contrary, if you don't make progress, or you measure it and it maybe made a little bit of progress but not much towards your goal, then you simply go to the next step in your progression ladder and then implement that change and run that for 3 to 4 weeks and see how that goes. And then what do? You measure it. Okay, and it keeps going like this. Change a variable, measure it. Change a variable, measure it. Until you know what works for you, and until you have specifically, scientifically, and very pointedly and precise went down the list of things to get to your goals. So that's it for today for this edition of the Fat Loss Solution. To recap, first off, measure and identify your indicators. Second off, set realistic progressions. Third, implement one change. Fourth, measure. And then 5, repeat. Okay, I hope that's it for today. I'll talk to you soon. I'm Coach Ryan. See you next time.